are going to get through this.
Easy for listening. I was able to do it.
Easy for dancing. I'm not a great lover of cats.
That's my fear.
You're a disgrace, you are. Not me.
That's my fear.
You're a disgrace, you are.
Hello and welcome to another episode of S04E8 one-on-one shadowboxing. Today my guest at the WTV studios, Gino Di Vitini, who is the West Austrian director of MGA, which is Master Grocers Australia. What does it stand, Master Grocers Australia, for?
Yes, thanks for inviting me on, Tibor. Master Grocers Australia is a non-for-profit organisation. We represent grocery and liquor retailers throughout Australia. We have in excess of 2,500 members, and the sales are in excess of $14 billion nationwide, and I think we've been going well over 50 years as an organisation.
What's your background, Gino?
My background is that I think I was born in a supermarket. My parents owned a supermarket, I think about 1965. My father was quite a forward-thinking person, and he bought a small milk bar, and eventually it became a supermarket. And I've pretty much been involved in supermarkets all my life. So yeah, I've had a lot of time spent in supermarkets.
But you studied some accounting as well. What's happened with that?
Yeah, I did my Bachelor of Business degree, and I had a very short stint working as an accountant, but yeah, I found that supermarkets was probably my strength.
So bean counting in the back room is not the same as bean counting in a supermarket, I suppose?
No.
One is more exciting.
Yeah, definitely not. Back in the days when I was bean counting, it was a lot different than today. So we were physically counting beans then, but now it's all computerised, so it's a lot different today.
So lots happened in the history of the retailing in Australia, and we became one of the countries, probably the only countries in the world, guys, where a duopoly is owned almost 80% of the market of the retail grocery and the liquor stores. How does it can happen in a country? As nowhere in the world, the authorities or the governments let that happen. Why in Australia? Why are we that lucky? We got Woolworths and Coles, who are more than 80% controlling our purse with groceries and liquors.
I wouldn't say lucky, I'd say unlucky.
Okay, so we are unlucky. We know that, but I just wanted to hear your opinion.
Yeah, I'd definitely say we're unlucky to have Coles and Woolworths controlling so much of the market. I think that the customer probably doesn't appreciate the power that Coles and Woolworths have. What they own today is significant. They own petrol stations, they own hardware stores, they own casino, poker machines, they own liquor stores. It's phenomenal.
Just to clear this up, we will play in a short video, which is 3 minutes about, and that will highlight for our audience what sort of ownership we got in Australia by the duopoly, which duopoly equals monopoly. Let's see.
Correct.
There's only one country in the world where two supermarket chains control over 75% of the market. It's Australia, and the two are Coles and Woolworths. They look like they're rivals, but really they're two sides of the same coin. Woolworths and Coles' parent company Wesfarmers don't just sell groceries. There's liquor, hardware and office supplies. They own hotels and pubs, as well as selling insurance, with combined takings around $120 billion last year. Woolworths controls 12,000 gaming machines, making it the biggest gaming machine operator in Australia. And the big two just keep getting bigger, because when it comes to competition, they're playing at a rigged game. Coles and Woolworths use their might to dictate terms to their suppliers. Analysts estimate Woolworths squeezed $1.2 billion out of smaller operators. price over 4 years and boosted their own profits. Last year, the ACCC called a halt. They started investigating the Big Two for unconscionable conduct, including persistent demands for extra payments above agreed contracts and threats to remove products if suppliers don't pay up. 50 suppliers were too frightened to give evidence, and the ACCC had to keep their identities secret. Coles and Woolworths cut the price of milk to $1 a litre. The move pushed dairy farmers to the brink. Farmers' politicians demanded an inquiry, and when farmers protested, Coles retaliated. A confidential report shows they used every PR tactic possible to neutralise the noise. The Big Two used their might against competitors as well. They introduced over-the-odds discounts on fuel, up to 45 cents a litre, to get you into their stores and away from the competition. The ACCC stepped in again, but the move killed business for smaller grocers, and it sent around 1,000 independent petrol stations to the wall. Coles and Woolworths also use a tactic called land banking to buy up real estate competitors might want and leave it vacant. Now Coles and Woolworths are carving up Australia town by town, muscling in with big new supermarkets in towns that don't need them. Small family businesses like the local butcher, the baker, the liquor store and the independent grocer become unviable. Locals lose their jobs and overnight families lose their livelihoods. Local money gets sucked out of the town and funneled into Coles and Woolworths headquarters. The two giants already control more than 75% of the market, but they're planning to build hundreds more new stores. And with no change to the laws, what's to stop them grabbing what's left of the market? Then you'll have no choice at all but to buy what's on their shelves at their prices and risk seeing more small businesses and more livelihoods destroyed. When it comes to competition, the odds have been stacked for long enough. It's time for the House to change the rules, because we all deserve a fair shot at the game.
So I think now the audience at home and us got a sort of more clear picture how does it work or doesn't work in Australia to having a duopoly as a monopoly. What is the problem and how this war is shaping up between the independents and the duopoly monopoly? Where the turf starts, why are they so dangerous for our future and for the consumers?
Well, they're dangerous because if we as the independents disappear, which is what they are trying to do, they're trying to wipe us out, then you don't have competition. And
but you got very less competition when the 80% of the market is owned by two companies. So where the competition comes?
Well, the competition comes from the 20% that we have, but we need to get back more of that
turf.
That we've lost over the years, because I think already that the customers are seeing that Coles and Woolworths, the range of products that they have on their shelves, they're dictating to the customer what you buy, not the customer saying, we want to buy this. With their home brands, they're reducing their range, whereas the independents, we are carrying all the brands, and Coles and Woolworths are saying, no, we will carry this and you buy it, but the customer still shops there because they have 80% of the market.
How can the government let this happen, to let these two companies growing that big? Probably this is something to do with Australia and our isolation from the world. So the people who live here, they don't know really what's in the world, what you can buy in Europe. Every country different, every town is different. You got a great selection, you got a great competition, and even
Correct.
in the United States. But in here, no competition. They just say this is a competition. So where the competition is, where is the real danger for the consumers? I think it's in the supply chain before the department store is opens. Mm-hmm. So tell us about the monopoly or the duopoly working with the supply chain.
Well, the problem that the suppliers have in dealing with Coles and Woolworths is that they again dictate the terms.
As we heard from the video clip, which we just played, yes.
Yes, correct, which we played, that they can walk in and say, if you don't supply the product, whatever that may be, at a certain price, then we will not range that in our stores. Now, if you do that at an independent store, the supplier might lose one store. But if Coles or Woolworths do it, they lose it nationwide. So it's a major threat to the supplier for them to lose Coles or Woolworths as a customer.
So the monopoly or the duopoly is ruling the supply chain, and the supply chain is the one. If you can control the supply chain and the prices, you can control everything and anything on the market.
Exactly.
So that's the basic of the business. That's the nature of the business.
Yes.
And if you not have that balance with other companies, then the war is lost, because the ammunition is not coming to you on a price which can sustain the war.
Yeah, which continues to make us competitive.
When you got 80% control of the market and you're buying more than 80% from the suppliers, you're the one who, by the law of capitalism, telling the price and setting the game. So competition disappears because of your weight. No one talking about that. Why don't you guys lobbying in Parliament and, telling these guys?
We are.
Yes?
We are lobbying in government, yes. It's part of what MGA does, the industry representation. We lobby at both federal and state government level, and we are.
And how successful is your lobbying?
It's probably a bit early to say at this stage, but our CEO, Josh de Bruin, spends a lot of time talking to politicians. He will go to Canberra a number of times a year to lobby with them. The Harper Review was probably a big step for us in terms of finally getting a voice as to what can happen. So the Root and Branch Review, we've conducted studies for that. We've done surveys. So it's...
Gino, on that note, we will have to go for a short break, but after the break we're coming back to discuss these issues furthermore. The duopoly equals monopoly in Australia, on the grocery fields and in the liquor stores. Stay with us, came back after the break because we got something interesting coming up.